Coral reefs are the most unique and diverse marine life in all marine ecosystems. They team up and provide life with a quarter of all marine species that depend on reefs for food and shelter. They play such an important role in the balance of life. They do not just possess beauty, but in fact, these coral reefs also provide protection on the coastal communities from hazardous weather that acts as a buffer to lessen and minimize strong forces of waves that saves lives. But looking at the rate we are going, coral reefs are in a poor condition and are at risk, threatened by multiple reasons, but most important, threatened by the actions of human beings. Is tourism spreading more awareness, or is it spreading more problems? In Malaysia, coral reefs have been a major attraction for tourists to visit our country. Redang Island, Tioman Island, and Perhentian Island are among the best to do snorkeling activities. It is estimated that the coral reefs contribute around 2 billion Malaysian ringgit every year to the economy. The expansion of these resources has given an opportunity to the government and the private sector that are involved in this industry to gain more profit. There are many tourism activities that can cause coral reefs to damage or die. All factors can have hazardous impacts towards these species. These coral reefs are threatened by tourism sea activities such as scuba diving, snorkeling, cruise trips, irresponsible tourists, and the list goes on. Few studies have documented impacts to coral reefs caused by tourists who dive and snorkel. Amateur divers and those experiencing snorkeling for the first time can cause damage by physical and aggressive actions like kicking, pushing or holding, kneeling, or even to some extent standing on corals.
On average, the condition of coral reefs in Malaysia is not too bad. There is a classification we use which depends on the percentage of live coral cover on a reef. It's just simply the amount of living coral. So for a coral reef, we look at the amount of live coral, and it's somewhere around 40 to 42%. On average across Malaysia, which is fair. It's not bad. But one figure for 1 year for one set of surveys doesn't tell you what's happening over time. So we have been doing surveys since 2007. So we have a very long data set, and we can track the changes in reefs over time. And that approximately 40% today has been declining year on year for several years.
Imagine that we are living in a city like Kuala Lumpur and everything is scattered together. It's like a city. So coral reef is actually, it's like a city. Everything live in there. Fish, small mammals, small microorganism, something that we cannot see from our bare eyes. So it's a lot. It's like a big city. So if we lost this big city, definitely we will lose our major protein in our diet, fish, okay, like shrimp, kerang-kerangan, and all of this. So that's why it's really crucial for us to protect our coral environment, to our marine environment especially, because it's all from us. All of the disaster thing coming from human, and on top of that, climate change, okay, the water temperature rise. So, but how this is happening is actually from human, from us.
The impact it has is several-fold, but it includes physical impacts from tourists. So divers or snorkelers breaking the reef with their hands, or with their fins, or with their feet. It includes waste that is generated by tourists, trash. It includes pollution from land use change, from sewage pollution, from a variety of things. So those are the big impacts. Boats and physical damage from boats, like anchoring, or they bang into reefs. So these are all parts of what the damage that tourism does. So yes, there's no question that the tourism can damage.
With the high number of tourists visiting, coastal development is bound to happen to cope up with higher demands and expectations. When we talk about coastal development hazards, it is an action that affects the natural environment by human activities and products, and this also contributes to the conditions of the coral reefs.
So what will be the future of our coral reefs if there's more coastal development? The coral reefs and other marine ecosystems, because it's not just about coral reefs, they will suffer. Their their health will decline, their productivity will decline. And let's not forget that coral reefs are important not only for tourism, but also as a source of food. Right? So for corals to thrive, they need clear water, so there's plenty of sunlight coming through the water, so the algae can use the sunlight to produce food. Imagine the water goes turbid. Imagine the water goes dirty. Imagine the water is polluted, so sunlight cannot penetrate as easily. Okay? Then there's not as much sunlight for the algae to produce food, so the coral is getting less food.
Because of the acts of human beings and also the effect of tourism shows that there is an obvious difference of how coral reefs used to look like before and how they look like now. Before, the corals look absolutely beautiful and full of life and filled with other marine life as their home. This is where the coral reefs are in a healthy state and unharmed. But now, we are at a stage where it is absolutely saddening to see the situation of our coral reefs, which are dull and lifeless, and no other marine life can be seen around them. This itself shows that something must be done for the hope of our coral reefs.
Instead of spend a lot of money to organize a program in certain places, the best is actually using, you record video, record the message, and then spread to social media. I think that's the fingertips. I think everyone can just click and then get your message. Okay. But it should do in a proper way. Some people really creative to do video awareness and that give impact to the public.
Our coral reefs have always been one of the proudest things our Malaysian seas has to offer. Looking at the rate of how our coral reefs are doing, it makes us wonder, have we been fully neglecting this serious issue of our prized possession just for the sake of having fun? And whether our efforts are enough or should we be doing more? You decide.
#A serious issue.